afternoon. This is vk3sl. I've been listening.
Brandenburg number 6.
You know it, yes, indeed. It's the Bach Brandenburg number 6, a work written for violas and viola di gambas and cellos, lower register instruments. A very interesting concept, and he creates a very subdued, a very different atmosphere with that instrumental grouping. And
Sort of unique, isn't it? Really?
it is. There's nothing like it anywhere. And I was just reading about the work, and it is actually scored for 2 violas da braccio, which is under the chin. That's the standard viola that we know today, like tenor violin, larger violin. 2 viola da gambas, which sort of refers to slightly larger versions of the viola, sort of like a small cello, played between the knees. And then for cello and double bass as well. And that's including the continuo, of course, with a harpsichord. So written for all lower register instruments, and some great counterpoint there. Music of Bach. And
the two streams very close together, weren't they?
yes, they are. Yes, the sound congeals.
There's only about a sort of half a bar of separation.
It's true. Yes, it's in strict counterpoint and also timbrally very, very close in the way that the octaves and the octaves meld. So a really interesting work of Bach's, which you don't hear all too often. We might play the whole thing at the end. Actually, it's such a great piece of music. And, I've always wanted to play it, but it's a question of finding the instrumentalists who are skilled to play the gambas, and you need a very specialist ensemble, really. But you could, of course, just play it with a conventional orchestra without violins.
They wouldn't have to be gambas, would they?
No, not really. You could use cellos; they'd be fine, and wouldn't sound that different, really. But no, it's an interesting one. That happens to be Yehudi Menuhin playing the viola, lead viola in that, and that recording of the Bath Festival Chamber Orchestra on an HMV record from the early 1960s.
Anyone who can play a violin play the gamba?
Violins, upper strings don't necessarily align with lower strings. So I think a gamba player would more likely to be a cellist, and I've never actually had a go on a viola da gamba before, but although I've held a violin and viola between my knees to tune them up and play, and I can actually play it that way, but under the chin it's a very different technique. Bowing techniques is similar, but the left hand alignment is markedly different. So that's the main difference there. So you rarely find upper and lower string players can play both sets of instruments efficiently. But the vibrato requires a very different musculature. So it's an interesting one, though.
I only know one. I've only ever met one gamba player.
Sure.
She's a young woman, and she's lovely. So they must be a bit thin on the ground.
There's not that many of them around, although there are a number of sort of Baroque specialty orchestras which do feature gamba players, and a lot of cellists moved to the viola da gamba as an instrument. The gamba family used to be a really large family of string instruments of about 6 different sizes, and it's largely lost to us now. In the violin family sort of survived the marks of time, and the gamba family pretty much died away, except for sort of enthusiasts who revisit the instruments. The only instrument that survived in modern music from the gamba family is the double bass.
Okay.
The double bass is a gamba. It's actually not a violin. It's got a different shape, and the C bouts are different. It's got a flat back, whereas all the gambas also had flat backs.
Oh, it's from that family?
Yes, it is. It's the bass viol is the double bass that we know today. So,
that's interesting.
Yeah, so it's the one instrument that survived, and the violin family sort of developed concurrently. It's slightly later. All of this happened about 600 years ago in the 15th century. So, it's an interesting one, and the gamba sounds a lot thinner, reedier sound.
It's a very unique sound.
It is. It's an unusual sound. It's not as resonant and not as rich and projecting as the cello or, other instruments, string instruments. But
almost edgy at times.
Yes, it is, especially with gut strings, although the cello would have sounded more like that with gut strings as well. Of course, we're sort of used to that very concentrated, projected sound, which is a product of our times. But it's good to hear the gamba, and we probably could feature the gamba in some light. It might be nice to play some gamba, viola da gamba recordings.
Yeah.
There's viola da gamba and viol da gamba, and there's all slight differences in the sizes, and they all had a different mode of pronunciation as well. So yeah.
So when you talk about a viol, as such, like you have a consort of viols.
Yes, a viol is...
Is that another instrument again?
No, the viol is the generic term for the whole family.
Oh, I see.
But it sort of these days pertains to the cello. Now, the viola da gamba is mentioned in this document I have about the work we've just heard, refers to this treble instrument, which is the viola da gamba. There was also a soprano gamba as well, which is like a violin, also played between the knees. There's a whole family of them, all different sizes, quite extraordinary, and all played between the knees. They weren't, I think, I might be wrong, some of them might have been played under the chin or played on the chest, quite low down. So I think they sort of derive more from folk traditions earlier on, and it'd be interesting to sort of get a bit more information. I'll do my research and see if we can have a slightly more informed discussion. But there are certainly viol da gamba groups around at uni when I was there in the early music fraternity. So yeah,
a very good group called Fretwork.
Oh yes,
Do you know Fretwork?
Yes, I do. Yes, they're great, beautiful ensemble. And they play a lot of the music of JSB and arrangements.
Yeah, and they play, including the Art of Fugue.
That's right. And I think they also play the musical offering and other things as well. Yeah.
And they play a lot of music written by a guy called William Laws, who's
okay.
Englishman in the Tudor Englishman.
Sure.
And he wrote for consorts.
Okay.
Lovely music.
Oh, very good. Well, we could certainly feature them as well. Maybe after we've done our Les Paul program tonight, at the end we could feature some music of the gamba.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, that'd be nice. It'd be nice to have a Renaissance, early Baroque focus, and it would be good. They've also fretted, which is interesting. They're a fretted instrument.
Yes, yes.
Whereas the violin family gives you that finer control over intonation without frets.
Well, hence the name for the group. Fretwork.
Yeah, that's right. Yes. So all the gambas are fretted instruments. So they're very sort of structured to the temperament of the instrumental genre. It wouldn't have been even temperament back then. It would have been Pythagorean or just intonation schemes. They would have had, everything would have been in the same key. And yes, it's quite an interesting sound.
So there'd be less portamento sort of sliding.
Oh yes, none of that sort of.
No, you couldn't really, could you?
No, not really. Only in the extent that changing frets, like a little bit like a guitar. I think they also had a very low action as well, but they're not that different from the lute family, really, except they're bowed, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, well, let's tease this out later, and I'll do a bit of reading just to get the facts exactly right about the early days, and I'm keen to discover that more myself. Yeah, all right. Well,
how are you?
Oh, look, okay. It's been one of those days. I've wasted a lot of the day, Frank, because I've been mucking around with internet here, and it's been one of those sort of vicious circles and I become more and more determined, and it all gets a bit intractable. So I've had internet issues, I've had computer issues, and all to do with the fact that I wanted to install a new system. I don't want to bore the listener with this, but it's just about installing a new system with so I can use the tablet. I use an iPad. I got myself a new iPad, and it's really good. It's one of the big pro ones.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to be able to use that so I could sit and dial things up on my knee without this sort of referral process all the time.
That's what you need.
Yeah, exactly. So I needed to have a receiver to do that, and it's really complicated, but because the way the server's configured in here, I had to do it in a particular way because I'm using Airport Express, and then one IP address was fighting against the other, and then I had to try and introduce another server, and that was not working as it should, and it was usurping something else in the system. So it was a case of chasing tails and everything becoming unwound, and it was actually very frustrating. But I got there in the end, and there are some mild compromises, but we'll see if we can tease them out over time. But it did rob me of some of that lovely sunshine today, although I did do 2 walks, so that was good to get
Very
out.
good.
And did you spend some outdoor time today?
Yeah, a bit of outdoor, but mostly I spent all the afternoon getting my iPad and iPhone going again.
Ah, yes.
With help from my children.
Oh, yes, of course, because you had some problem with
which
your
I had
phone.
available to me, and I had to miss U3A, unfortunately.
Oh, did you? Right.
Yeah, because of that. But it was an opportunity I couldn't miss.
Yeah.
But it's all been successful. And
Oh, that's
everything's
great.
good.
So you're all updated and sorted, and it's working.
Yeah, pretty much. I've got to reinstall a lot of apps.
Okay.
Because I had to do resets.
Oh, you did?
But
Right.
they're all there, and it take time, but I can do it.
Okay. Well, it sounds like we both had our IT experience today. But anyhow, it's been nice to see some sunshine. I did do some practicing. We'll flesh out further subjects after some wake-up music. And
I've delayed the music. I'm sorry.
no, not at all. It's good to have a chat. And we've got on the table another 20s disc. It's a recording, a light ray recording of Phil Oman and Victor Arden. And they're playing The Girlfriend, which was a big hit in, I think, 1926. And this is from the Broadway show The Girlfriend. 2 pianos and band. vk3sl.
vk3sl.
Wrong system. There we go. Like the chord at the end and finished on an interrupted cadence, and that was the music of Phil Oden and Victor Arden from 1926 on a euphoric light beam recording made for Brunswick. And that
It was really made using a modulated light beam, was it?
yeah, apparently so. Yeah, it was a sort of very early form of sound. What they did on films later on, but it was much more primitive and just highly distorted.
But VR would be a natural for a film because you're working in light.
Yes, but I think the process was inherently non-linear, and it just had all manner of intermod issues, which I've heard explained by other people much better than I could. But
Yeah, I know. It's fascinating to
yeah,
to
look,
do it.
it's very interesting. They were circumventing a patent, and that was their way of doing things for a short period. Then they relinquished and went across to the Western Electric system. But I do like these light beams recordings because they sound larger than life. And that actually had incredible deep bass, that recording. And in here, I was hearing really deep lows, and it wouldn't have come through on air. But it was quite staggering, actually.
The big speakers.
Yeah, through the big speaks. And we say a warm hello to Alex, who's listening.
Hey,
and Alex is a fantastic cellist. And I should mention, Alex, that I've been practicing, and I've been practicing a fair bit. But I've decided for the moment not to practice pieces because I become very lazy when I practice pieces, and I just get and I just play them over and over. And really, to get better, you've got to do lots and lots of drills, or for me at least, I have to do drills. And so I've decided to put pieces aside for the while and just focus specifically on coordination exercises, stuff that I haven't done for years and years and years. And yeah, things like double trills where you hold fingers down and you do rhythmic drills with the other fingers on different sets of strings. And it's pretty hard to do. It's a real test on coordination, but it's a great way to loosen up the left hand. And it's been quite a worthwhile thing. And lots of chromatic scales in double stops. And those sort of things, the way forward, string crossing. But I'm trying out this new interleaving practice approach, and Kate's been doing it a lot too. In fact, she hasn't been practicing many pieces. She's got the same idea. Just want to try and build our techniques back up again because we haven't played for so long with any sort of level of discrimination. We sort of to build up resilience and skills, you have to really be doing an enormous amount of practice. And it's been decades since I've done 4 or 5 hours a day. But for the moment, I've just been trying to do one or 2 hours, but mainly just technical work. But the idea, this interleaving practice, is that you play just 10 minutes of something, then you do something else, then something else, and something else. So I'll do some double trills, measured double trills in different rhythms for a couple of minutes, and then I'll move on and then do some sort of string crossings and double stops, and then I'll move on and do some a whole range of small exercises addressing different aspects of technique. But instead of spending like half an hour on one, then half an hour on the other, and half an hour on the other, the idea of interleaving them and doing them in small, concentrated cells means that your brain's sort of got to disengage and get back into gear. And there's a fair bit of research to show that that's a more effective way to work.
You're a lot less boring, I should imagine.
Well, that's it. Well, you constantly move, you're constantly having to be on that high alert sort of state. And the same with pieces. And, same with studies, I should say. So trying to get into some concert studies. Alex will know the Popper 40, well, I've been practicing those. And my teacher used to play all 40 of them in any key by memory every day. He was a genius. He just knew them all by memory, all the Piano Caprices by memory, played them through every day. But, I'm nowhere near that level. I just try and cleaver my way through a few. But that's the way of things. Now,
True, you do much better than that.
Oh, it's all good fun. It's nice to sort of build on and see if what skills you can reclaim. And I've found that to be quite valuable. And I'm enjoying it, especially on a sunny, when the sun's out, I just sit outside. It's been good. Now, you mentioned yesterday the wind-up gramophone, so I brought it in. And I've got it sitting here, Frank. It's the HMV Model 101. And from 1927, and I've just wound it up before, and on the table I've got a recording of Poppies and Wheat. Now I'll just hold it up to the thing. It's Mr. Ollie Oakley, who is an English banjo player. This is an early record. It goes back to probably about 1918, maybe earlier. First World War era. So we'll have a listen to this. It's some banjo music played on an authentic gramophone with a number 4 sound box. And let's have a listen. This has got quite a visceral arrangement here. Here we go. It's easy. I don't even need to advance the fader. Just swing the microphone across, and you've been listening to Mr. Oakley, Mr. Ollie Oakley, and Poppies and Wheat is the name of that recording from about probably close to 100 years ago.
Brilliant.
To be honest. Yeah. So
I have to declare my ignorance here. The pickup, how did that actually work?
okay, it's just a standard wind-up gramophone pickup, a piece of mica suspended within a little a circular head. And yes, it's just a diaphragm that vibrates, really. And the later versions used aluminium, but the early gramophones used mica, and it's suspended with a gasket of rubber on each side. And yeah, it just it's easy as it's as simple as it could be, really. It's just the steel needle vibrating a membrane, and then the sound box is contained within the very small gramophone. It's just a little suitcase gramophone with a leatherette case.
There's no electricity involved at all?
None at all.
It's purely a mechanical transmission of a mechanical vibration?
Yep, in 100%.
That is amazing that you can get that level and that trueness of you know, fidelity of sound.
It's not bad, is it? Especially for something made that long ago. And, you know, they really worked it out. They've put a lot of time and R&D into acoustics. And these number 4 sound boxes just sound head and tails above anything else. Others are very blasty and have nasty, spurious resonances everywhere, and they really don't sound that great. And there's a little internal horn, and the sound reflects off the inside of the lid because the lid's sort of positioned partially open, or open to the point where you can operate the machine, and then the sound bounces off the lid. And that's the way it works. It's very, very simple, but incredibly effective.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's good fun. There's another one here. It's called Baby Love. It's on an old Scala 78, and it features the bells. Bells always come across really well on these acoustic records. It's a bell solo by Billy Whitlock. Now, these are old scratched-up records. I won't bother changing the needle, although technically I probably should, but I'm just going to wind it up now. You can hear the thing being wound up. It only plays one record at a time. It's running a little bit fast. I'm going to have to make some adjustments to the governor. I looked on the stroboscope before. It's running at about 80, a bit over 80. There we go. I think that's pretty much wound up. Yeah, let's have a listen to Billy Whitlock and a track called Baby Love on an HMV gramophone, circa 1927. There we go, a bell solo
Lovely.
from way back when. That's a pretty old record. That record would be well before the First World War.
And the transients are pretty fair, aren't they?
They are. They're apparently supposed to work up to about 5K, these mica diaphragms. And the later ones, the aluminiums, went up to, I think, 8 or 9 or more.
That's remarkable.
Yeah, but they also are supposedly not that good for your records because they're so heavy. I've got a record here I'll play. This is from the slightly more specialised collection. I really shouldn't be playing these on the one-up gramophone, but I'd like to very much because I'd like to hear how it sounds. And it's a recording of Misha Elman. And in, I think, 1917, this was recorded. I'm just putting the needle in now as I speak. And this is La Cinquantaine, which of course is the Golden Wedding, so it's the original version of that song. So I'm just going to do a wind-o-matic here, wind the machine up, and we'll have a listen to this, Mr. Elman. And I'm just giving it a few more winds. I think I'll make sure it's well and truly maxed.
Anything on to stop you overwinding?
Not really. You've got to keep the thing turning, actually. I should do that. Yeah. Here we go.
Mine had a sort of a stop on it, but you couldn't go beyond it.
Yes, you can feel the stop, but yes, but it's still easy to break the spring if you're just too heavy.
That's the worry, yeah.
It is. Now, let's have a listen to Misha Elman.
Please.
Life's so easy doing it this way.
Wonderful.
I don't really need to worry about the desk and faders and stuff. I could just...
That's for progress, eh?
Yeah, this is it. Well, you need is a wind-up gramophone and a microphone. Maybe I can set up outside in summer and just play records straight off this. And all I need is the mic. That would be easy. That would be fun. Maybe we can do that. We'll play another one. I'm getting in the mood of doing this.
Do you know who wrote The Golden Wedding, or was it traditional?
Let me see. Is it mentioned here? It says Gabrielle, whoever that was.
Gabrielle.
Don't
Sounds
know.
like a Greek folk song to me.
Yeah. Wonder.
Obviously not, but it sounds...
Sure, it does. I really don't know. I love that way of playing it. It was about a tone too high, but never mind. But it's such liquid playing. I love the way.
And the fast vibrato.
Oh yes, he had a Quicksilver vibrato, did Elman. Now here's a Hawaiian novelty record. This is an electric, so it'll be interesting to hear how this one comes up on the machine. Hawaiian novelty, Kanu and Lula, it says. God knows what this is going to be like, but this record's got a stroboscope on it, so I might see if I've got any leeway to. I have a feeling that the governor's become a bit stuck, but never mind. I might just quickly do another wind up before we start. That's the only thing. It is a little bit labour intensive in terms of winding the machine, and especially when it's not on an even surface. There's no even surfaces in this room. Let's have a listen to some Hawaiian novelty. Well, that's a bit of a novelty disc. If I've ever heard one. God knows what they're singing about.
I know. It sounds as though they're almost caricaturing the language.
Yeah, it seems like it, doesn't it? I'm keen to just sample. Whoops. I'm keen to just put this on the other turn. I'm not going to play the whole thing again. I don't want to hear it again. But I just want to hear how fast this gramophone is. Yeah, it's about a tone fast. Wait till the voice comes in. So there we go. There's a little bit of a comparison here. I'm going to have to get the motor checked again and see if the governor's working, because the governor's quite finely sprung and it's got a little leather pad that keeps the governor working at its true speed. And if that pad's not engaging properly, the thing can just freewheel at a particular speed without having any speed control.
Yeah, it was quite a bit fast, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was quite a lot too fast, actually. It's probably more like a minor third too fast, but never mind.
Like that.
Well, I'll put one more on for fun. Here's a jazz record from the 30s, and it's a song which you'll know, although it'll be very fast
Right.
version, but we can deal with that. And it probably doesn't matter with this sort of music, and especially when there's no vocals. We can just experience it. It's changing the needle as we go. Now I'm just going to quickly wind it up a few more times just to get that at its optimum setting so it doesn't slow down. And there we go. I think we're ready to hit. So, yeah, we'll all know the song. Now that's ridiculously too fast. I'm going to try something here on the fly. I'm going to see if I can take the turntable off and see what's going on here. Yeah, there's a little control, and I reckon this might make a difference. Let's see. I'm just going to check the stroboscope as we go. That looks better. Let's see if it sounds any better. vk3sl. Oh, it's much the same.
A little bit better, I think.
And there we have it at the Woodchopper's Ball on a 1927 HMV 101 gramophone, portable gramophone, suitcase model. And we've got a little bit of work to do on this. It'd be nice to sort that speed issue out. It's probably not difficult.
That's probably a minor thing.
Yeah, I think so. And it just needs to a little bit of attention to the governor.
Amazing sound.
It's a good sound, isn't it? It is. It's a true sound, and there's a lot of presence in listening to a one-note gramophone. I mean, it hasn't got the frequency extremes, of course, especially you miss out on a lot of bass. and and it's got lots of spurious resonances all over the place. I mean, it's a flawed concept in one sense, but intrinsically it's a very alive in there experience. I never forget going to a phonograph meeting in London years and years ago. Was it a meeting or was some sort of gathering anyhow? And at this gathering was one of those big McGinn expert phonographs. They're very rare, and this thing had a horn you could walk inside, a big papier-mâché horn.
Oh, no.
It was huge, like a cinema horn, really, connected to a very, very high-end acoustic machine. There's only a handful of them in the world. They're really specialised.
Good. It must have had incredible matching with the room.
Yes, that's right. The room was set up for it. The horn was huge, and they put a record on. I've never heard anything like it. It was like it was really had that feeling of being in the room with the performers. And it had such immediacy, such presence. Now, I'm sure if you were to measure it, it would be all over the place and look really, really terrible. It would be standing waves and spuriae and everything under the sun. But somehow, and I don't think it was just the spectacle of the event. I remember they put on some swing music from the 30s, and it really sounded like the band was in the room. It just sounded so present. It was a very an experience that'll never leave me. And so I've often thought it'd be fun to make a huge papier-mâché horn and try and recreate that.
Oh, wouldn't it be? And I don't know, it'd take a fair bit of doing, I should think.
I think it'd be very complicated. And the horn's a very unusual shape. It's got bumps, and it's sort of not quite regular. And it was a special custom horn, really.
Deliberate.
Yes, and also the pickup was a very specialised pickup with certain compliance, and I think it had been acoustically developed to give you the optimum sound reproduction. And I think a fair bit of scientific research went into that field in the later days of acoustic gramophones. So before the electric system came in. So, but what's interesting, I was reading on a couple of phonograph forums a little while back, and a number of these very, very specialised pickups are now being 3D printed.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't be the best way to do it.
It's exactly it. So the form factor can be reproduced quite easily now for some of these things. So,
no matter how irregular it is.
Yeah, that's right. So we sort of live in interesting times where there's the potential to recreate some of these types of experiences through replicating the highest end equipment from that time. But yeah, look, they sound great. This particular gramophone, I think, sounds good. Next time you're over, and I'll give you the live experience, because it's very, it's great. It fills the room up, and it does.
Sure, Jamie would as well.
Yeah, definitely. Or Jamie's got numerous gramophones, and but yes, for sure. But we'll keep it out, and we'll here and there we'll feature some true acoustic reproduction. Yeah, all right. Well, we'll see what else there is
Thanks
now.
for that.
Yeah, no worries. That was good fun. And
wonderful.
Yes, thank you, Mr.
Good
Wonderful.
afternoon.
And we'll see what else we have here. I really am completely disorganised. I haven't thought about anything else except internet and the 78s.
Just while you're getting organised,
Yes.
I had a wind-up wireless.
Oh,
Still have.
you got a wind-up wireless.
A wind-up wireless.
Okay, is that one of those ones? It's got it's fairly compact, and it's got a wind-up thing on the back, and they were issuing them in Africa and places like that as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
There are two kinds. There's one with a generator.
Yes.
That charges a battery.
Right.
And that's not what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I've got one of them as well, but they're a dime a dozen.
Yes.
This has a clockwork mechanism that you wind up like a gramophone.
Yeah.
And it generates. Obviously, it uses a generator of sorts because it's generating enough sound to drive the wires. It's a quite loud speaker.
Mm. Yeah.
And it plays for about 3/4 of an hour on a wind.
Oh wow, that's very good. Oh, I must. Can you let me know what it's the model, and
It's called a Bayless, I think.
Bayless. I'll write that down.
They were made for the Africans.
Yeah.
Next time I come, I'll bring it over.
Yes, please do. I'd like to see it.
Unless you come here first.
Yes,
in
of
which
course.
Case I'll show it to you.
Yes, most interested. Wind up radio. Very good. Well, that sounds intriguing. I know
They were very specifically made for export to these countries where you couldn't get batteries.
That's right. Yes, yeah, and no, I've read about them, but I'd like to actually experience one. That'd be great. Oh, how interesting! Wind up clockwork radios, and what to choose? I don't know. We've got another Hoagie Carmichael here. We listened to. Oh, whoops! Let's rip the cover. We listened the other day to a tune for humming. On the other side of that is a track called "I'm Coming," a Corton, and I can't read the last word because it's been sort of rubbed off the label. I'm a Corton corporal or something.
Okay.
Anyhow, it's Hoagie Carmichael with the Chickadees, with Vic Sean and his orchestra. Well, I think we'll have to sample this one. We'll put it on the platter. And let's have a listen.
I'm a-comin', a-courtin' Cora Belle. Got a 4-leaf clover stuck in my lapel, with a horseshoe in my pocket and a rabbit's foot as well. I'm a-comin', a-courtin' Cora Belle. Gotta keep up my courage, Cora Belle, for to speak up to your pappy for a spell. Gonna mention my intention of a honeymoon hotel. I'm a-comin', a-courtin' Cora Belle. So it's giddy ap, Sylvester, don't you dare to stop, 'cause underneath this double-breaster beats a heart that's about to pop.
He's a craving, caressing Cora Belle.
I'm a-countin' on some kissin' in the dell.
Let it thunder, let it lightning, let the rain come down pell-mell.
I'm a-comin', a-courtin' Cora Belle. Got a 4-leaf clover stuck in my lapel,
with a horseshoe in his pocket
and a rabbit's foot as well. I'm a-comin', a-courtin' Cora Belle.
So giddy up, Sylvester, don't you dare to stop, 'cause underneath this double-breasted beats a heart that's about to pop.
I'm a craving, caressing Cora Belle.
He's a counting on some kissing in the dell.
Let it thunder, let it lightning,
let the rain come down
pell-mell. I'm a-comin', a-courtin'.
He's a-comin', a-courtin'.
A-courtin' Cora Belle.
Very good.
Yeah, Hoagie Carmichael. That was a pretty sparkly track, wasn't it?
I remember it was. I don't know whether I've got an idea. I might have got you to play this as a Hoagie track. I think it's called a Huggin' and a Chalkin'.
Oh yes, that's right. I think we did play that, didn't we?
Yeah.
But I'd like to hear it again.
All right. It's about the object of his affection is on the large economy size.
Yeah, that gives me a chance to try out this new thing.
All right.
Huggin' and Chalkin'. Hoagie Carmichael, all spelt wrong, but spell check does it for me. And we're lining up. Here we go, Huggin' and Chalkin'.
Very good.
I got about 3 letters in the right order then, but it's all sorted. Now, I'm going to try this. Here we go. I can just click here and fade here, and it should work. Fingers crossed. Let's see. It's harder to cue. But I think yes, it's also the Chickadees. And this one recorded in 1947. Yes, it's actually a lead in there, turning on the gramophone. And it's about to start. Oh, I know why it's not going to work. It's not going to work because I haven't initiated here. Sorry. I want to get this right because this is a new system and I want to understand it and use it to best advantage. Here we go. It should be right now. vk3sl.
vk3sl.
I got a gal who's mighty sweet, big blue eyes and tiny feet. Her name is Rosabelle McGee, and she tips the scales at 3030G. But ain't it grand to have a gal so big and fat that when you go to hug her, you don't know where you're at. You have to take a piece of chalk in your hand and hug a ways and chalk a mark to see where you began. One day I was a hugging and a chalking and a chalking and a hugging away when I met another fellow with some chalk in his hand, coming around the other way over the mountain, coming around the other way. Nobody ever said I'm weak. My bones don't ache, my joints don't creak. But I grow pale and I get limp every time I see my baby blimp. Oh, gee, but ain't it grand to have a gal so big and fat that when you go to hug her,
You don't know where you're at, you have to take a piece of chalk in your hand and hug a bit and chalk a mark to see where you began.
one day I was a hugging and a chalking and a begging her to be my bride
When I met another fellow with some chalk in his hand,
coming around the other side,
over the mountain,
coming around the other side. She's a mile wide.
chalking up the mark down in Yellowstone Park.
When I met another fellow with some chalk in his hand, coming around the other side,
Over the mountain, over the great divide.
I'm glad it was over the mountain and not in the valleys. There we go.
Yeah.
Mr.
I don't think you'd get away with it today.
No, you certainly wouldn't. What an imagination.
If you want to have a Holy Carmichael triple play,
Yeah, yeah.
there is the old music master.
Very good. Let's
Don't
dial
know
it
that
up.
you've played that, maybe.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. We can play things again and again. I don't mind at all. The old music master. Here we go. And research. I'm just keen to try this, get the system ready. Only problem is a lot of these YouTube uploads are muffle missions, but can't do much about that. And we don't have quite the same queuing facility, but it's all okay. We'll have a listen to the music master, Hoagy Carmichael, and the band.
One night long ago, by the light of the moon, an old music master sat composing a tune. His spirit was soaring and his heart full of joy, when right out of nowhere stepped a little colored boy. You gotta jump it, music master. You gotta play that rhythm faster. You're never gonna get it played on the Happy Cat Hit Parade. You better tell your friend Beethoven and Mr. Reginald de Koven. They gotta do the same as you or they're gonna be corny too. Along about 1917, jazz will come upon the scene. Then about 1935, you begin to hear swing, boogie, woogie, and jive. You better tell a big broadcaster that you're a solid music master, and you'll achieve posterity. That's a bit of advice from me. The old music master simply sat there amazed, as wide-eyed and open-mouthed he gazed and he gazed. How can you be certain, little boy? Tell me how. Because I was born, he said, 100 years from now. He hit a chord that rocked the spinet and disappeared into the infinite. And up until the present day, you can take it from me, he's as right as can be. Everything has happened that way. Along about 1917, jazz will come upon the scene. And then about 1935, you begin to hear swing, boogie, woogie, and jive. He hit a chord that rocked the spinet and disappeared into the infinite. And up until the present day, you can take it from me, he's as right as can be. Everything has happened that way, yeah.
Great stuff. Hoagie Carmichael and the Old Music Master. What a great song. And he's a real sort of American songwriter, isn't he? He just sort of embodies that folky jazz tradition with a blom.
He certainly is.
Yeah, that was great. Well, thank you for those suggestions. And it was quite nice to sort of kick back with and dial us up on my lap. It's so much easier. I'll get used to it, but queuing's going to be the only thing, but we can anticipate and do the best we can. And, yeah, thank you. All good.
Not at all. I've just been given instructions to dial up the pizza.
Oh, yes. Okay. Well, while you do that, I can put on a recording with Dean Martin. And it's Dean Martin with Paul Weston and his Dixie 8. And it's a capital 78 of Muskrat Ramble.
Very good.
Let's have a listen. Something a bit trad-oriented. vk3sl.
Look at them shuffling down, rambling and scrambling ahead into town, hustling, bustling, buzzing around, happily awaiting at the station. Look at the train, the number 709, puffing and puffing, arriving on time. Well, who do you think's about to arrive? The band they call the Dixieland Five. They're gonna play that Muskrat Ramble tune the way you never ever heard it played. Get ready for the big parade. All together now, 1 and 2. Come on and join the happy throng. Feel the beat of that rambling, scrambling muskrat song. Come on and ramble along.
shuffling down. But look at the band parading all over town. Look at the happiness going around. Everybody's up and celebrating. Look at the drummer entertaining the gang, clinging and clanging with the bing and the bang, changing the town from dead to live. The band they call the Dixieland Five. You're gonna hear them play that Dixieland. You better get your reservation plan in person on a one-night stand. All together now, come on, folks, come on and join the happy throng. Feel the beat of that shuffling, scuffling muskrat song. Come on, ramble along.
So Dean Martin, and with Paul Weston and
Very
his
nice.
Dixie 8. Yeah, it was a sprightly one there from Mr. M. It's good to sort of hear him do an upbeat number. I should
He's
check.
pretty versatile, the old Dino.
Yeah, he was. And he's got a beautiful tone colour.
Yeah, lovely.
Beautiful. CLJ just joining.
Oh, g'day. How are you?
Good, thanks, Steve.
Yeah, fine.
Hey, Leighton.
And the other side of that one is...
Hey, Frank.
the other side is You Belong to Me. Do you know that one there, Frank?
Yeah, it's about mid-50s.
Mid-50s, more of a ballad perhaps.
It's a ballad.
Yeah, well, we'll say the ballads.
It's one of those Italian-y type ballads. It's nice.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, there's quite a few of him like that. Well, Leighton, we sort of might move in some jazz directions shortly, I think. I've got here Joe Finger's Car and the Cat Hope and Car Hops, it says.
Car hops, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Joe Finger's Car and the Car Hops and Ivory Rag. So I reckon this will be a bit of upbeatness here. And with vocal group and orchestra, Capital 78 on the table. And while listening to this, I'll see if I can siphon out a few 30s jazz records. vk3sl, testing.
When that old piano plays, I could dance for days and days. Red hot, that's what. Play that ivory rag. Run that scale right up and down. Take a break and go to town. Two-step, some pep. Play that ivory rag. Let's dance, my little honey bunny baby.
And we will romance, my little honey bunny boo.
My little honey bunny boo, come on and do a step and whirl about while he pours that music out. Red hot, that's what. Play that ivory rag.
Let's dance, my little honey bunny baby.
Such a little honey bun.
And we will romance, my little honey bunny boo.
My little honey bunny boo, come on and do a step and whirl about while he pours that music out. Red hot, that's what. Play that ivory rag. Play that ever-loving ivory rag.
Joe Finger's Car. A little bit of Atwell-inspired honky-tonk piano there. There was a bit of a theme in the 50s, wasn't it, to like to give the honky-tonk treatment to songs. So it seems. Anyhow, Joe
He was.
Car.
That's not his real name.
No, I'm sure it isn't. Is Carr in his real name? No. All right.
Someone, well known. I can't remember who it is.
Okay, well, we'll do a search on that one. We'll find out. We'll reveal his identity.
He's kind of the American equivalent of Winifred Atwell.
Yeah, that's right. There's a sort of Atwell-esque, honky-tonk, 50s, larger-than-life, blasé. It sort of says a lot about the era, really. But, well, it allowed me to dive into another pile of records, and we found one of Muggsy Spanier from the 1940 Swing series, and a recording of Black and Blue. So Muggsy Spanier and his band, these are Test Missions, vk3sl.
Sounds like someone out of The Untouchables, doesn't he?
Yes, he certainly does. Spanier. Black and Blue on a HMV 78. This is vk3sl testing here on 160 and on UHF. Streaming online, there's a streaming service, and I just mentioned that we will be doing our late night program tonight. Frank and I will start off round about, we might try and start a little bit earlier tonight. I'll fire up the engines around about 11:30.
Okay.
But I'll probably call you in a bit earlier, and we'll put together a program about Les Paul. So, Frank, if you're happy to send me a list of your faves, and I've been looking up some really interesting blog pages and historical references about Les Paul, and they give examples of his craft and with different recordings with some explanations. So it'd be nice to sort of explore that a little bit.
I won't send you too much because we want time for that.
Yeah,
And I think there's quite a lot to talk about with Les.
there certainly is. And also we'll feature a few from that transcription, or those transcription records, which I'd say would not be in the public domain, or if they are, they're not easily traced. So that'd be nice to listen to those as well.
See if I can confirm my thinking that he once was a radio hand.
That'd be great to know. Yeah, and any technical information, and indeed the records that you grew up with, it'd be great to have your sort of personal stamp on it, because
Yeah, I can do that.
you followed him. I mean, that makes it all the more interesting, and you'll have particular memories in association with that. So I look forward to that very much. So we'll do that, and then we might feature the viol. And
The old, yes.
the viol, the gamba, and some of the earlier instruments, pre-violin family, and I've got a fretwork CD here, but we might be able to dial up some fretwork stuff as well for the later part of the program.
Would
So
be great.
yeah, it should be good fun. Look forward to it. Now, there's a recording on the other table with Count Basie and the orchestra, and it features Coleman Hawkins as the soloist. And it's a track called 920. So I'm not sure when this was recorded. I think it was probably recorded in the late 1940s. That seems to be about the past band of these swing records, or no, actually the last one was 1940, so it could be around about that time. Anyhow, we'll have a listen now to Coleman Hawkins, Count Basie and the band. This is vk3sl Test Missions. .20 special, Count Basie and the band, featuring Coleman Hawkins on a very washed up old Parlophone 78. And we're testing here on 160 and UHF. And Leighton, if you're still there, I've got another jazz classic here on the table. This one from the late 1930s. It's Duke Ellington and the band, and I think the track will need absolutely no introduction.
Loving it.
Good. Song that almost defined a generation of swing music. Take the A Train, and it was Duke Ellington's band.
That was the theme to a program on The Voice of America in the 60s, 70s and 80s, I think. And it had, it was called the Jazz Hour.
Oh, right.
It was done by a guy called Willis Conover.
Okay.
And I used to love it. It was on every night.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, late.
On shortwave.
Yeah, on shortwave.
Oh, wow. That'd be great hearing that with a bit of selective fade.
Oh, I've just added the magic. You know.
Of course, that's brilliant. That's a great anecdote. Love it. And so that program ran for years, did it?
Many years. Many years.
Gosh. Fantastic.
Well, there were 2 hours. There was one program called Music USA, and immediately following that was the Jazz Hour.
The Jazz Hour. Oh, that's a wonderful. I wonder if there's any excerpts online. It'd be great to hear it in presentation.
Probably are. It went on for a long time, and it was an iconic sort of program because there were a whole lot of jazz programs around.
Great. So, what's the name of the presenter again? I was written
Willis,
it down. Yeah.
Like
Willis.
normal Willis Conover, Conover, I suspect.
Conover. Yeah, good. I'll look him up because that would be great to hear. And especially if someone's done a dubbing off the radio.
Must be something on him on YT for sure.
I expect there would be. That's great. Thanks for that. Yeah, well, there's a recording here now of Harry Roy and his Cafe Angelus Orchestra, and it's another jazz standard, but sort of revamped in the swing idiom. It's a recording of 12th Street 12th Street Rag.
I bought this on a 78
Oh, did you really?
by Pee Wee Hunt.
Oh, really? You got the Pee Wee Hunt
It was
version?
a big hit version in the 50s.
Yes, I'm aware of that. In fact, I think I've got a recording of that in my folks' garage. It'll come out in due course because I haven't started on that archive yet. But yes, I know it will. Anyhow, this is the version with Harry Roy and the Cafe Angelus Orchestra. vk3sl testing. Fades into the ether. That was Harry Roy and his Cafe Angelus Orchestra and 12th Street Rag. Classic song, and given the swing treatment. Quite effective, I think. It's interesting hearing ragtime music sort of given that extra bit of stride. But yeah, and we'll feature maybe one more before we have to wind up for this afternoon.
Yeah, the pizza will be here any minute.
Yeah, sure. And this one's a Tommy Dorsey recording. A track called Blue Blazers from a similar period, I expect. Another bit of Dorsey land swing fare. So let's have a listen to Tommy and Company.
Thanks, mate. Just take care. Talk soon.
Tommy Dorsey and Blue Blazers.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's some good upbeat swing jive music from the period just before the Second World War.
Yeah. Very, that's about as good as swing, sort of got then, wasn't it, really?
Oh, yeah, it's really charged. It's high energy music. And, yeah, it's good to listen in and discover new things. I wasn't aware of that song at all. But at this point, we'll need to find something to write out the program with, and I'm going to play the other side of that Nat King Cole record I played yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
So it's an LP entitled Nat King Cole Sings Songs from St. Louis Blues, and their arrangements with Nelson Riddle. It's sort of late Nat King Cole, but they're great arrangements. And he's got a beautiful voice, and it's easy listening. So what we'll do is we'll hear, I think it's about 5 tracks on this, and then we look forward to your company tonight, later on.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Well, I'll what's the word? QRT.
Yeah, sure.
And
yeah.
Come on again later.
Yeah, that sounds excellent. I look forward to it, and thank you, listeners, for tuning in and hearing our meandering today.
Hello to you, Jamie, if you're around.
Yes.
I will make contact with you very soon.
Indeed. A warm hello to Jamie, and hello to Mr. Pirate who's listening, and Alex who's listening, and anybody else out there in Radio Land.
Me also.
Yeah, that's it. So we'll say cheers, and we'll now hear Nat King Cole, and we look forward to
vk3sl
and vk3sl saying cheers for now.
If Beale Street could talk, Beale Street could talk, married men would have to take their beds and walk, except one or two who never drink booze, and the blind man on the corner who sings the Beale Street Blues. I'd rather be here than any place I know. I'd rather be here than any place I know. It's gonna take the sergeant for to make me go. Going to the river, maybe by and by. Going to the river, and there's a reason why. Because the river's wet and Beale Street's done gone dry. going to the river, maybe by and by. Going to the river, and there's a reason why. Because the river's wet and Beale Street's done gone dry. Because the river's wet and Beale Street's done gone dry. Because the river's wet and Beale Street's done gone dry. If I were a little bird, I'd fly from tree to tree. I'd build my nest way up in the air, where the bad girls could not bother me. Love, oh, careless love. Love, oh, careless love. You've broke the heart of a many poor guy, but you'll never break this heart of mine. While I wore my poor heart out, while I wore my poor heart out, while I wore my poor heart out, she always passed right by my door. Love, oh, careless love. Love, oh, careless love. You've broke the heart of a many poor guy, but you never break this heart of mine. Love, oh, careless love. Love, oh, careless love. Love, careless love. As a child, I asked my mother, is there a morning star? I was answered by my mother, yes, there's a morning star. Just before the dawn, she whispered, a light will appear above, and this light that greets the sunrise, this is the star of love. And that's when I learned how wise all mothers are. For there in my mother's eyes I saw the morning star. For there in my mother's eyes I saw the morning star, the love light in her eyes shining bright like a morning star. Folks, I've just been down to Memphis town. That's where the people smile on you all the while. Hospitality, they were good to me. I couldn't spend a dime and had the grandest time. I went out a dancing with a Tennessee deer. They had a fella there named Handy with a band you should hear. And while the dancers gently swayed, all the band boys played real harmony. I never will forget the tune that Handy called the Memphis Blues. They got a fiddler there that always slickens his hair, and folks, he sure does pull some bow. And when the big bassoon seconds to the trombone's croon, it moans just like a sinner on revival day, on revival day. That melancholy strain, that ever-haunting refrain, is like a morning sorrow song. Here comes the very part that wraps a spell around my heart. It sets me wild to hear that loving tune again, the Memphis Blues. That melancholy strain, that ever-haunting refrain, is like a morning sorrow song. Here comes the very part that wraps a spell around my heart. It sets me wild to hear that loving tune again, the Memphis Blues. It sets me wild to hear that loving Memphis Blues. I know the Yellow Dog District like a book. Indeed, I know the route that rider took. Every cross tie by your Bergen bog, way down where the Southern Cross the dog. Every kitchen there is a cabaret. Down there the boll weevils work while the farmers play. There's the Yellow Dog Blues the livelong day. Dear Sue, you're easy rider. Struck this berg today on a southbound rattler, side door Pullman car. Seen him here, and he was on the horse. A easy rider, gotta stay away, so he had to vamp it, but the hike ain't far. He's gone where the Southern crossed the Yellow Dog. Struck this berg today on a southbound rattler, side door Pullman car. He is gone where the Southern crossed the Yellow Dog. He is gone where the Southern crossed the Yellow Dog. He is gone where the Southern crossed the Yellow Dog. St. Louis woman with her diamond ring pulls that man around by her apron string. 'Twa'n't for powder and for store-bought hair. The gal I love would not gone nowhere. Got the St. Louis blues, just as blue as I can be. That gal got a heart like a rock cast in the sea. Or else she would not have gone so far from me. I love that gal like a schoolboy loves his pie, like a Kentucky colonel loves his mint and rye. I'll love my baby until the day I die. I'll love my baby till the day I die.
And there we have it, folks. Another missions, vk3sl test missions on 160 and on UHF. Look forward to your company later on tonight, and just a reminder that we'll be coming up straight away on UHF. We won't be using Channel D tonight, so that's the way forward, and we'll do it that way here on. Cheers for now.